I was learning how to run it as a business owner and actually learning the correct way to run a shop, I was seeing people that were doing great things with their businesses and how far they took them. And I guess the biggest thing was that seeing other people doing it gave me the confidence in knowing that, hey, you know what, I can apply these strategies and I could probably do the same thing. We talk about sabotaging ourselves as business owners, and that's what I did. I sabotaged myself pretty bad. I get to a certain level and I'd fall back and I couldn't break through that wall. And a lot of it had to do with my mindset. I didn't believe in myself as much as I do now, and my ability to be able to, I guess, run a shop, if you will.
Thank you, everyone, for being here again for another episode of the Lift Your Shop podcast. Today, we have Jason Smith, the owner of M&M Car Care Center. He has multiple locations across Northwest Indiana that we're going to kind of go into talking about today. But Jason, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I know there's a journey behind taking to multiple locations. It just doesn't happen overnight. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with everyone in terms of how you got started in this industry and kind of the steps it took to get to where you are today.
Sure. I'm happy to share. I started wrenching in the garage with my brother was a mechanic, and he got me actually into the business just from working on cars. And then I decided to go to school for automotive, and I was a dealership technician for 15 years. And in 2007, the dealership wasn't a good fit for me anymore. And my wife and we purchased a failing independent shop, and I had no business acumen. I didn't know what I was doing. I was a technician, and so we basically took out a second mortgage on our home to buy this thing, and changed the name of it, and it was a little two-bay shop, and that was in 2007. And then we're still going today. We've moved that location, and into 2.5 years after that, we moved that location into a 3,000 square foot shop. And then just this past August, in 2022, we moved that same location into a 9,000 square foot shop. So we tripled the footprint of that location. And then, we've definitely had our ups and downs in the business, and not having the business background, we struggled for the better part of a decade, just trying to figure things out. And we got latched onto a really successful coaching company that helped us learn how to run a business, and as an owner and not as a technician. And then we started seeing success after that, and some massive progress.
That's amazing. So when you joined the coaching, were you still at one location at that point, or were you already starting on some of your multiples?
No, we were just at the one location, and it was a 1,000 square foot unit with 3 bays. So yeah, we just had to one place.
That's amazing. And I guess small detail, but in terms of the name M&M Car Care Center, how did that come to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the company's actually named after our two daughters, Madeline and whenever they were 2.5 and 5 months old, that's when we opened the shop. And now they're 18, and the other one will be 16 this March.
There you go. Wow. Is it still just the two girls, or did more kids come along the way?
Girls. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure no kid got left out of the name.
Oh.
That's why you had to get more locations. Like, I got to add another letter onto the name. Well, awesome. Well, just so the audience knows, now you are at 4 locations across Northwest Indiana. And so what we really want to dig into a lot today is more like, yes, we want to hear about how you got to the success of your one location. I mean, kind of tripling that scope within that time frame of just that first shop is really amazing. But now I know some shop owners they're kind of on the cusp, but they're like, I feel like my one shop is having success. I've always dreamt of maybe having more locations, but they don't really know what sort of next steps to take. So I guess to take a step back a little bit, at what point did you feel like you maybe were close to being ready for getting that second location?
Well, I had opened a second location years ago when I still didn't know what I would say, where I still didn't know what I was doing. The reason why was because the location that I was in, it was doing good when I was there. So I'm like, well, we'll open up another location. And I did, and it only lasted for a year. And I had to shut it down because when I would go to my main shop, it would do well. and the other shop would suffer. And when I went to the other shop, that would do well, and my main shop would suffer.
Mm,
Biggest thing was I just didn't have the right people.
mm.
Uh, I wasn't a good. I didn't know how to lead people. I wasn't a good leader. I didn't have the right people surrounded by me. They kind of were complacent and did their own thing, and that's where it really started out at. That was a big learning lesson for me. Obviously, that was another failure for me, and but I learned a lot from it. And then I actually vowed I never wanted to have another shop. To be honest with you, I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't look at it that way anymore.
Hmm. Gotcha. So then I guess what I'm assuming with the coaching that sort of shifted it, or
Mhm.
I guess what made you pivot again to like, okay, let's give this another shot.
Sure. So was learning how to run it as a business owner, and actually learning the correct way to run a shop, I was seeing people that were doing great things with their businesses and how far they took them. And I guess the biggest thing was that seeing other people doing it gave me the confidence and knowing that, hey, you know what, I can apply these strategies, and I could probably do the same thing. And we talk about sabotaging ourselves as business owners, and that's what I did. When I first opened that one shop, I sabotaged myself pretty bad, and I would get to a certain level, and then I would fall back. I'd get to a certain level, and I'd fall back, and I couldn't break through that wall. And a lot of it had to do with my mindset, and a lot of it had to do with um, I didn't believe in myself as much as I do now, and my ability to be able to, I guess, run a shop, if you will.
Mhm.
Uh, but I definitely learned a lot in that amount of time. I actually left my shop in 2016, my little shop, while it was running. I had two technicians and a service writer there, and I couldn't stay there anymore. I actually went to a dealership and got a job as a service director for a dealership.
Wow.
Yeah, and you think, yeah, so that was a little bit crazy of a year, and then the shop started failing and even failing worse, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And
Mhm.
I came back after a year, and my wife was like, we're either gonna have to file bankruptcy or you're gonna have to fix it. And the thing was is that I realized that I was able to fix the service department that I worked for in 90 days. So I mean, I was having them, they were grossing fine, everything was going well. And I realized that the reason why I wasn't successful in my own shop was because of the emotional attachment that I had to the customers and to the shop itself. And it was literally, um, it was it's a bad thing for me because I was so afraid of upsetting someone, or hurting someone's feelings and hurting my employees' feelings, that I just let everyone take advantage of me and walk all over me.
Man, that I'm still bewildered the fact that you were an owner of a shop, that you went back to being a writer at a dealership. That is a one of a kind story for sure. Um, and so you mentioned that you were there at the how long were you there at the dealership before you
I was,
decided to pivot
I
back?
was at the dealership for a year, and I was a service director, so I didn't write. I was the
Oh,
manager.
there
I
you
was
go.
service director for the dealer and service department, and yeah, for 1 year I was, yeah.
Man, that is that is incredible. So then when you like, okay, you went full back in, like back to the shop. How long did it take you then to like turn things around?
Um, I still wasn't where I wanted to be. I started getting some coaching from some other companies and just doing training. I was trying to feed myself any kind of training that I could get,
Mhm.
just to learn. And I would go away, like, on a to some overnight classes and things like that. And I was just trying to gain some knowledge. And whenever I ended up joining this coaching company in 2017 in September, that's when it was really turned around for me, because everything was really simplified,
Mhm.
and I was able to basically zero in on what I needed to fix right away. And that was getting myself out of debt and getting my head above water. And that was just something that I really, really focused on. And I was able to do that pretty quickly.
That that is amazing. I love that. And so then so now 2017, you started the coaching and you're starting to do the first shop full time. Things are getting better. So at what point then did you acquire the second shop?
So yeah, the second shop we opened January 6th of 2020.
Okay.
And,
Wow.
yeah, 3 months before COVID. And so that I learned a lot in that amount of time, because that was a store that it was not an operational store before. So we took that store, and it was from nothing, and went in and basically, fixed everything up, did everything. We put everything that we did in process, so we put our model in there. And we've had to change out a bunch of employees through that shop. But the biggest thing is that the employees are really what really make it work. If you guys if we have the same mindset and the same goals in mind, your shop will go a lot further if you have the right people in place.
For sure. And I definitely will touch back into the people here in a little bit, but I want to dig in a little bit deeper in terms of like this transition from first to second. So if you don't mind sharing, so the first one, was it still at 3 bays before or when you acquired the second company, or did the expansion already take place to 9,000 square foot?
Oh, it was still at 3 bays. Yep.
Okay. And then what, if you don't mind sharing, what kind of dollar revenue wise were you at where then you felt like, okay, yeah, this shop is going well, we can take the leap to the second one?
It wasn't the revenue we were doing, it was the people.
Gotcha.
And so it wasn't, I have, and he's still with me, I have a really good foreman.
Mhm.
And so he was, he's very on the same page as I am with our company and our brand. And so I realized that, so as a technician, as having that background, I will lean more toward my foreman in the back from stores, because that's just, I think we connect better that way.
Yeah.
And so those guys are the ones that are typically the guys I go to for questions or things that I need answered. And so, like I said, it wasn't really about revenue. It was just about the leadership that I was able to get and have and grow in that shop that allowed me the freedom to be able to go and open that second store.
Gotcha. So did you have to borrow anyone from the first shop to bring to the second store with you, or was this like because they were so good at the first shop, you could go to the second store and kind of start this one over from scratch?
And initially, yes, we started from scratch the second store, so everyone was new. I didn't transfer over. I did run into some employee issues in the second store, so I took another one of my technicians who's been with me a long time that was in that first store, and I sent him over to that store to help get it situated. And and so that really helped that store go, get going and get moving and things like that, because he knew from being with us for years how we operated.
Yeah, no, for sure. And how far away are the first and second one?
They're all 6 miles away from each other.
Okay, nice. So not very far at all. Well, awesome. So then in terms of now as you're developing the second one, the second one's getting, I guess, how big is the second one? How many bays are we talking about here?
6 bays.
Six.
Five twin posts and then one alignment machine.
Nice. Okay. And so this one is pre-COVID, and then COVID runs in. I'm assuming we still have 2 more locations coming now up until this point. So I'm assuming things still went really well through COVID, even with the new shop transitioning there.
No, it was horrible. Yeah, we were doing bad when COVID came. When COVID showed up, it was bad. I mean, it was bad. We didn't know, obviously, the fear of the unknown, right? So we didn't know what was going to happen. And to be honest with you, what ended up happening was we were sitting around one day, and because there was nothing going on, and we give back a lot to our community, and we give cars away, and we help a lot of people, and we're like, we need to give back. We need to help people, and we need to we don't want to covet what we have. We want to give it back, give it away. So we ended up giving away. So we went to a couple local businesses, and we bought hundreds of dollars in $10 lunch gift cards. We went and bought, did that, and then from small businesses, and then we ended up giving away free oil changes for first responders and medical personnel from April till I think the end of June or July between both shops.
Oh wow!
And so the word got out with it, and we ended up giving away, between the 2 stores, we ended up giving away $16,000 in free oil changes between those 2. Yeah. And to be honest with you, that was a real big turning point for our reputation in the community. And it just spread like wildfire. And we didn't do it for recognition. We just did it because we just felt that this was our calling to, to bring some good news to all the negativity that was going around in the world.
For sure. And that's like, I mean, givers gain, yes, but I mean, I love that. I mean, the mindset wasn't about like, okay, what's going to happen to us on the other side. It was more just like, how can we help? How can we help? And naturally, the blessings came from, I mean, helping others. So, yeah.
And the thing is that, to be honest with you, is that we, as technicians and as personnel, we all run this business. We're all running around at 100 miles an hour every single day. So when somebody like shuts off the lights, turns off the switch, we're standing around looking at each other and we're literally bored. So it was also something good to keep our minds going and to keep us focused on, this act that we were doing. And yeah, it worked out really well. It worked out great.
I love that. And so now we're at 2 locations, and so now we still have 2 more. So what is the time frame of the third one and the fourth one in terms of how it worked?
Yep. So the second one we opened January 6th of 2020. The third one we opened June 1st of 2021.
Okay.
And that was an existing shop. The gentleman that owned it, he had 5 stores in our area.
Oh, wow.
And he had retired, but he still had that one store left. And he had some family running it, and I've known him for a long time. And he calls me up and he says, "Hey, do you want to shop?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Where's
That's a good call.
Yeah." And so we talked about it, and I was just going to go in there and retrain his staff, the staff that was in there. So I was there June 1st to take over, and it's a 5-bay shop, and there was about, between the inside and outside, there was about 10 or 11 cars that were taken apart. Everything was, it was just a mess. Cars were like literally taken apart. Harmonic balancers were off the vehicles, intakes were off. Well, they all walked out. All the employees left.
Wow.
And I literally had to start from scratch. So I went in there and I took a technician from my one store and brought him over, and he and I ran the desk. I ran the desk and he worked in the back. I started recruiting like wildfire, and in not June but July, I had to place cash flowing.
Wow.
So I turned it around really quick. Yeah.
That is amazing. In terms of, like you said, you recruited like wildfire, like where did you find these people?
And I called our parts people, I called our tool guys, and I just, obviously I was on Indeed. I was just looking for bodies at that time, and I was running Indeed ads and stuff like that. It wasn't that busy of a shop at that time because they weren't marketing anything. It was more or less, it's kind of like in a residential area. When we go in, we market really heavily. So I mean, that shop was probably doing 70 cars a month, and now it's doing 220, 215 cars a month.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it wasn't a ton of stuff going on. It was just the cleanup. And then once we changed the name, honestly, people started coming in like in droves. And they're like, honestly, if you're not, as long as you're not associated with that other store, because we just had horrible experiences with them, we'll gladly come here. So.
Wow, that's amazing. It's crazy how fast you're able to turn that around. So it's cash flowing in a month, a little over a month, maybe, for depending on the days that we're talking about here in June and July. But I mean, obviously, it turned around really quickly. And so now, then, I'm guessing, when did the fourth one take place? This fourth location?
Yeah, so I just took over this was an acquisition. This was a shop owner retiring, extremely well-respected guy. He was in the business for 40 years, and he was in this location for 12. And we actually just took this over January 2nd of this year, 2023. So,
oh wow,
yeah, brand new. So we just took it over recently, and this was a deal where his employees wanted more. They had been with him for a long time. They were looking for more. And he was just he was 68. I think he's 68 or 69 years old, and he just ready to retire. And his wife had passed away a couple years before of cancer, and just he was kind of out of it, and kind of surviving in it, right? So I got to meet him through a mutual friend, and we worked out a deal. And then I went and met all of his employees. All of his employees stayed, and we just went in and retrained them, and that store did so what they were averaging last year every month. We beat that in 10 days, the first 10 days of this year.
Very nice. So it sounds like, I mean, the processes are kind of locked in at this point on what things need to turn around. And so, what, if you don't mind sharing, what are those things, like those key things that you're looking at? Like you're coming in, like, okay, this is what we need to adjust quickly for the shop to now be performing where it should be.
Yeah, so it's all about the ability, giving the people, giving the workers, the managers, and the technicians the ability to say yes, to bring cars in, and giving them the setting them up with the efficiencies to be able to perform work fast
Hmm.
and get it out the door and profitably. Obviously,
Yep.
have a saying that money loves speed, right?
Hmm.
And so we take and we set up our processes. I'll sit there, I'll go through our shops, I'll go through our shops and sit there and kind of look, kind of take in, where this should go and where this should go. And are the oil filters in the right spot? Do they have to walk so far to get to an oil filter? The oil, those kinds of things. Can we tighten these processes up? And part systems, we use a specific type of part system through all of our stores. And write-ups, we don't use paper. We're all digital with our write-ups and everything,
Hmm.
and our processes. So a lot of it is just, and honestly, a lot of it too is just um, encouraging the guys and telling them and showing them that, hey, they're on performance-based pay plans, and so we are not limiting them. I don't limit any of my guys,
Hmm.
but it's got to get done professionally. Work has to get done right the first time, and it has to be honest. There's a lot of integrity involved in that.
Yep.
And so, but we just go in there, and I feel like we go in there, we pump them up, and we pour into them as individuals, and they just take care of business for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how long does it typically take for when you, like, say, I guess we'll just use this latest one as an example, since you just, like, it just kind of started for you. So how long did it take to then train and kind of teach them your ways in a sense?
Yes, I figured I would be there. I figured I'd have to be there every day for a couple, for maybe a month or something. The manager that I have over there is very experienced. He's been in the business a long time,
Hmm.
and he was kind of underutilized, if you
Yeah.
will, for his knowledge. And I went in there, and the other thing too is obviously listening. So I went in there and I said, I want you to do this, 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 and this, and I never even changed the pricing. I never touched any of the pricing. I just wanted to see how they would do it with using our systems, and he knocked it out of the park. I was there probably for a week, and now I just spot check and go back, and we go through things, and I talk to each of the guys all the time when I go there and ask them if there's anything else that they need, or is there anything else, have you found a better way to do something, and trying to get them to see it from my point of view, where can we figure out another way or a better way of doing something. I take a lot of input from my guys, and that's how we implement and put things in place in the shop. It's not my way or the highway,
Hmm.
obviously, but it has to be. I tell them, if you're going to make a decision, it better be for the progress of the shop, and that we not better not take a step back.
Yeah.
We have to continue to go forward.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, overall, that would just help growth as kind of continuing that focus and kind of believing what your philosophy, I guess, is. And so if you were to describe like what the shop like stands for, what you would say, like, yeah, this would be our mission, like what would that be kind of for your brand?
So our mission is just, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mm.
Nobody comes into a repair shop really in a good mood. They know they're going to have to spend money. They know their car wouldn't start on a Monday morning. They don't people don't budget for this kind of stuff, and it's obviously gotten more expensive.
Mm.
It's the prices that have increased insanely. So all we do is we try to create an atmosphere, and we try to create a situation where we just treat them like we want to be treated. We would want to be treated in the same facet. And the brand is basically, this is our family's brand. And the people that we have that are surrounded by us in our organization, they're our family as well. And, like I said, we do a lot of, I talk to, I pour into these guys. I help a lot of them. We help, I mean, we assist them and not monetarily, but just in just being an ear to lend, someone to talk to. And we've created, we've done some really good things with them. I mean, we've taken a shop camping trip together. We've gone to baseball games, and stuff like that. We have really great Christmas parties. My wife put on an 8-week Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University class last year for the guys,
Nice.
and to help them be more fiscally responsible. And we just really try to do a lot of really fun stuff with our guys.
Yeah. And are those like all the shops combined into one event, or do each of them have their own event separately? How does that look?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, they're all together.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah, we want, the thing is that I can take a guy out of any store and put him in another store, and the phones are the same, credit card machines the same, operating systems the same, everything is the same.
Mhm.
So I want them to be able to create and build the relationships with each other from another store, just so in case they're like, hey, well, we do this over here, how do you guys do it? And we've been able to develop some pretty good systems by just having that conversation.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I guess in terms of just finding these right people, so sometimes it sounds like, yep, they are already there. And in this case, like of this current one, like, thankfully, everyone just didn't walk away like your third one. And then the second one sounds like there had to be a lot of rip and replace sort of dealings as well there. So in terms of finding these right people, obviously, I know that's one of the biggest complaints I hear right now, is that like finding people to just show up or just kind of buy in to like what the shop is standing for. Like what do you think has been that, I guess, secret sauce for you that's been like, yeah, where people show up and people want to show up and do good things, or like how is that working for you?
We set the expectation for that. And our reputation has that expectation built into it. So we like I said, we deal with, our parts vendors, our tool guys. They know that if we hire someone, well, let's say this, they know that if we fire someone, that we didn't fire them, they fired themselves. And because, I hold, we hold people accountable. So if you tell me, I always tell people, like, look, don't lie to me as a technician, because, I'll know, right? So I just say, if you know something, then tell me you know it. But if you don't know it, tell me you don't know it, and I'll get you to training, and I'll invest in you to be able to help you learn it. And a lot of it is just, these guys have these egos that come in and they think they know, but they don't know. And they get called out on the carpet really, really fast. Then, obviously they're looking to blame somebody. And sometimes they come in and they just have the wrong mindset. They don't have the mindset that we're looking for. And some of them that come in that do, we can train them and build them up. But a lot of it is just, like you said, just the ethic of showing up. A couple of weeks ago, I hired 2 guys. I hired one guy, and he's doing great. He's there all the time, and he does what he's supposed to do. And I hired another guy, and he lasted 2 days, and we got rid of him.
Man.
So, and he called in late one day, and it was no call, no show the other day. So yeah. I gave him an opportunity, but it's not that we don't fire people, we don't get rid of people, but we don't let them linger. Like, and I'd rather, like they say, like, what is it? You hire slow and you fire fast, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what we operate on.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I think that's really hard for people too. Like, especially when like there's this emotional attachment naturally when you have an employee, and like you want to give them this runway. But I think it's very important to this. Like, at times you just have to like make that decision, especially early on when like that bond hasn't really formed yet with the whole crew and everything like that. But you can see like there's going to be lingering effects that are like, very bad and detrimental maybe to the rest of the people if they like get along with them really well. So yeah, I think it's very crucial in being able to like, yes, it was 2 days in your case, but like, hey, we got to make this a decision. I can't have this poisoning everyone else in the culture of the shop.
Right. And then who am I as a leader to not get rid of that guy? And what's that look like to the rest of my guys when they're saying he's not going to work out, and if I just left him there,
Yeah.
uh, I find a lot of shop owners that I talk to nowadays because of this situation are I would say feel imprisoned by their own employees.
Mm,
That I don't want to say anything wrong to him because I'm afraid he's going to leave. Because there's nobody else out there.
hmm
And I think sometimes that we're all looking in the wrong places. I think that there are people out there. There are people out there that are looking for good places to go to,
hmm
providing they provide them a good, a good place that they can come to. And most of the people that I have found have not been. They've been working,
Yep.
and so the word has gotten out with how we operate, and they have found us. Typically, I haven't really recruited in a long time. We've been fortunate enough where people have started calling us and contacting us because they want to be a part of this culture that apparently everyone's talking about right now.
Yeah, but I love it, because when people talk about it without you even having to, that's when you know something really good is kind of brewing there. So I do absolutely love kind of what you are doing, and it shows that you are obviously caring a lot about these individuals and their growth. But now I'm curious in terms of like majority of owners that are listening and are like, okay, well, 4 locations, there's only one of you. How often are you going to each of these locations, and how are you doing it?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm spread pretty thin right now, so not gonna lie, it's tough. I try to get. I can't get there. I can't get to all of them every day,
Yep.
but I try. And I we use a cloud-based point of sale system, so I can see all the tickets and stuff like that, anytime I want and audit them. And so I kind of go there. I'll stay in touch with my foreman
hmm
on through each store, and if I feel like there's a need for me to go there, I will go to at least to all of them at least once a week.
Yep.
Uh, Hop in, but other than that, if we start seeing something go sideways, usually the guys are pretty good about letting me know. Like one guy from each, usually
Mhm.
the store. I don't have every employee from every store contacting me. It's there's a
Definitely.
leadership in each store, and then those guys are the ones that contact me.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. And then that contact point, is that mainly just through text, or do you have a platform that they use to reach you? Like what does that look like?
Call my seller, they
Yeah.
text me, and
Yeah.
we talk about what's going on, and then sometimes I have to go there, and sometimes it's just a simple phone call.
Mhm.
It just depends on the situation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I love that. Well, now, yes, you have a brand new shop here in this 2023, so that's super exciting and kind of the growth picture that you have. But I'm guessing that 4 locations isn't the end for you. So, like, what is your big goal? Like, what are you hoping to kind of be able to do?
Yeah, so there are a lot of people. There are a lot of shop owners looking to retire. A lot of guys that have been in the industry a long time, and I have a lot of respect for those guys that did
hmm
stay as long as they did. And even like the one that we just took over. He had talked to some other people that were looking to buy his shop, and he just didn't really feel it with them because we all have this emotional attachment to our businesses, right? And
Absolutely.
so wanted to make sure that his customers got taken care of first and foremost, and then he wanted to make sure his employees were taken care of if they decided to stay. And I think that you know I love that kind of stuff because I know that I have the confidence in saying I know that we can take care of them the way you take care of them, if not better,
Mhm.
but you're not going to have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And as far as like, so that's what I look at. I love going into an existing shop and basically, acquiring something like that and just, make fulfilling like the dreams of maybe what he never got to accomplish with that shop.
Uh-huh.
And as far as like a number, I don't look at like, hey, I want 5 shops, I want 10 shops. I look at it as opportunity. And because if I say I want X amount of shops, I put a number on that, right?
Hmm.
So when I hit that number, then what do I do next?
Yeah.
So I just say like kind of like what is the opportunity there? Where's the opportunity at? And then we just kind of go from there, providing that it's strategic and we have the right people in place to be able
Yeah.
to allow.
Yeah, no, I love that. Not limiting yourself, but yeah, I mean, I'm also at the same time though, you can adjust your goal. It's like if you acquired 3 this year, it's like, oh, okay, we obviously need to change the number by the end of whatever our 5-year goal is. But that's awesome. But in terms of like acquisition and acquiring them and throwing out a number for them, like if I don't want to get too technical and in the weeds of the numbers, maybe some people want to hear that and they can feel free to reach out to you after this. But is there a certain like multiple that you go after, like a multiple of net profit, multiple of revenue, or what are you looking at and like saying, yeah, this is the offer point of what seems reasonable?
Yeah, I think it's like 2.5 times the cash flow
Okay.
realistically, plus the
Mhm.
equipment, and then
Yep.
plus whatever the business is worth.
Mm.
And so the thing is, it has to be fair. I'm not out to you know take someone's business that they've invested years and years to build and shortchange them on anything. The gentleman that we purchased it from, we made him a very very fair offer and a very good offer, and it worked out really well. So it's just obviously everyone can go in there and nitpick everything and stuff like that. And obviously, you want to get a fair market value for your store, or for what you're purchasing. But I look at it as this shop is not. I'm not basing it off of obviously the what we buy it for is based off of what his numbers are doing,
Hmm.
but I look at it like based on what I can make that
Yeah.
shop do.
Hmm.
And so that's why as long as he feels like he's getting a fair market value for his shop, then I know he's comfortable and he's happy. Then I can go in and do my thing, and then we can obviously take that above where it's ever been before.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like definitely no limits in terms of like what you definitely can do in the process that you obviously, I mean, you've been able to turn things around pretty quickly in some of these situations. So, and then just to backtrack a little bit, the fourth location, how big is your fourth location here?
There's 4 lifts in there right now,
Okay.
um, and then there's an alignment rack there as well.
Okay. So is that like kind of like in terms of when you acquire, are you looking for those that are like around that 4 to 6 bay size, or is it just so it just happened to be that way in this situation?
It just happened to be that way. Obviously, I think that the six bays are pretty good. Like they're pretty manageable.
Hmm.
So the one store we talked about earlier, the 3 bay that we ended up moving over to a 9 bay that we tripled
Hmm.
the foot,
Yeah.
and that's a lot more difficult of a store to manage. Honestly,
Mm.
we had all of our processes and everything in line with the smaller store. So you go into a store that's triple the size, and that's been it's been tough to scale that big that fast, even with the guys that are there.
Yeah.
And so I like the 6 bay size. That's kind of a perfect. I feel it's pretty perfect, for us. And we try to put one guy per twin post.
Mm.
So like the one shop that's the 6 bay, the one we did in 2020. The one twin post is a 12K. We have the alignment rack and we have 4 twin posts. Well, there's one technician per twin post, so I have 4 techs on 4 racks there.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. So that's not usually what you go for across all your shop is kind of a one tech per 2 posts.
What I try to do, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, sweet. So do you have 9 techs at your first one, or is that kind of what's making it hard to scale? Is not having those people?
We're trying to build that up.
Yeah.
We marketing plan and everything we put in place is working. It's just we're just trying to scale it, and get the right people in. We've had people come in there and then that we've tried out and that we've you know given a chance to, and they hadn't worked out. So it's like we're still trying to build that. We're trying to build the right crew in that big building. But obviously, we'll get there. It's just finding like-minded guys to work with, in that one building. You have to find more of them, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jason, this has been amazing, and I love. I mean, I'm still thinking back to your story where you went back to the dealership while holding the like. That's pretty incredible. And then like, it's just you pretty much just started all over, like when kind of back against the wall, and like let's do this. And then from there, obviously, then you kind of have reaped the rewards of that second effort. But for those owners that are listening, and if you had one major piece of advice for this year, kind of what would it be for those people?
To believe in yourself. You know, we get so caught up in the day to day that we lose confidence in our own ability,
Mhm.
and understand that you can do it. You can grow as and do whatever it is that you want to do. But you also have to take the time to be able to dream so you can get there. But you also have to appreciate how far you come, because a lot of us, have dreamed about getting to where we're at right now.
Mhm.
And then we don't ever turn around and realize how far we've come because
Yeah.
we're here.
Yep.
So, in order to get there, you got to know that you were right here at one time. So
I I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Jason. For those of you that like, for those people that want to reach out to you potentially, like to maybe just get a little bit more detail behind some of the things that maybe we discussed or get some help from you, what would be the best ways to contact you?
they can just contact me through my email. I can post my email. I can give you my email, however you want to do it, and post on the link. And yeah, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for being here with us today, and thank you all for listening. And we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.